grandmother lives in a small village where everyone knows everyone else. She's lived there happily all her life. She loves the peace and quiet of the countryside. I prefer living in the town. I like all the noise and activity of urban life. There's a lot of traffic, but it does not bother me. I find it interesting to see all the different types of vehicles that use the roads. The crowds on the pavements do not bother me either. I would feel lonely if I only saw one or two people as I walked along the street. My grandmother says that the countryside is much cleaner. There is no litter on the ground and no graffiti on the buildings. But my town does not have these problems either. All its inhabitants, young and old, are proud of the place where they live. It is a tidy and attractive town, and we want it to stay that way. We do not drop things on the ground or paint words and pictures on the walls.
Reading Passage 2. This passage is about the views from a tall building. Jack lives on the 10th floor of a tall block of flats in the city center. The building is 20 stories high. He has a good view from his bedroom window. When he looks down, he can see the whole neighborhood spread out below him. There is a small park near the apartment block. He sometimes plays football with his friends there. On the right, he can see the street that leads to his school. There is a row of shops halfway along this street. One of these is a post office, where his mother works. In the other direction, he can see the river that runs through the middle of the city. The view from the top of the apartment block is even better. Jack's friend Tom lives on the 20th floor. He can see most of the city from his bedroom window. In the distance, he can see the factory where his father works. It is a factory where cars are made, on the edge of the city. There are many other factories in that area, but the car factory is easy to spot. This is because there are always lots of new cars parked in its yard.
Two, your home. Before you read. 1. Do you live in a house or a flat? 2. Do you ever moved to a new home? Reading Passage 1. This passage is about moving from a flat to a house. Mr. and Mrs. Lee lived in a flat with their two daughters, Mary and Sally. When Mr. Lee changed his job, they decided to move home. The flat had already become too small for them. It only had 2 bedrooms, so the girls had to share. This caused a lot of arguments between them. Mrs. Lee wanted to move to a house with a garden. She was very fond of gardening. They found the perfect home. It was close to Mr. Lee's new job and the girls' school. The house had 3 bedrooms, a study, and a bathroom upstairs. Downstairs there was a kitchen, a dining room, and a lounge. There was a large garden at the back, so Mrs. Lee was happy. The whole family was looking forward to having a bigger home. "It would be nice to have a house with 2 floors," said Mr. Lee. "Going up and down the stairs will be good exercise for us." "I can't wait to have a bedroom of my own," said Mary. She had already chosen some new furniture and curtains for it.
Reading Passage 2. This passage is about a poor boy who dreams of giving his family a better home. Joe's family is very poor. They live in 2 rooms in a small house on the edge of the city. They share the house with another family. Joe sleeps with his parents and brother in one room. They use the other room for cooking, eating, and everything else. But Joe has great dreams for the future. He will go to America and become a famous film star, earning lots of money. Then he will come back to his own country and buy some land by the sea. There he will build a wonderful new home for the family. One day he asked his mother what sort of place this should be. "Would you like a large house with a swimming pool and a tennis court?" he asked. "Or would you prefer a bungalow with all the rooms on one floor? Then you would not have any stairs to climb." Joe's mother smiled. "I don't think I want to move," she said. "I have lived in this house ever since I married your father. We have always been very happy here. Build your nice new home for yourself. When it is finished, we'll come and visit you there."
Three. Shopping. Before you read. 1. Do you often go shopping in a supermarket? 2. What do you think shopping will be like in the future? Reading passage 1. This passage is about a time traveler's first visit to a supermarket. Kate saw a young man outside the supermarket. He was wearing very old-fashioned clothes. "Good morning," said the man. "My name is Edward. I am a time traveler from 1905. What is this place?" "It's a supermarket," said Kate. "Come inside with me. I will explain everything to you." Kate wheeled her trolley along the first aisle. She put some cans of vegetables into it. "What are you doing?" cried Edward. "Aren't you afraid of being arrested for stealing?" Kate laughed. "This is a self-service shop," she said. "I help myself to what I want and I pay for everything at the end." They walked around the rest of the shop. Edward kept asking questions about all the things that he had never seen before. He picked up a bag of frozen peas. "They're so hard and cold," he said. "How do you eat them?" "We boil them in water and make them soft," said Kate. Finally, they reached the checkout. Kate unloaded her trolley. She turned to say something to Edward, but he was not there anymore. Then Kate woke up. It had all been a dream.
Reading passage 2. This passage is about shopping for a birthday present. Jack went to the shopping mall to buy a birthday present for his sister, Sally. It was a huge shopping mall with more than 400 shops. "If I can't find a gift for Sally here," thought Jack, "I won't find one anywhere." First, he went into a bookshop. He picked up a book about horses with lots of pictures in it. He knew that his sister would like it, but it was too expensive. Next, he went into a toy shop. Sally liked playing with dolls, and there were plenty to choose from. But he couldn't decide which one to buy. So he moved on to a shop that sold fashionable clothes for girls. They had some nice jumpers and t-shirts, but he didn't know Sally's size. Finally, he found a shop selling jewelry. There he saw a lovely necklace of green and white beads with a matching bracelet. Green was Sally's favorite color. Jack had just enough money to buy both of them. This meant that he had no money left to buy a birthday card. "I'll make a card myself with a picture of a horse on it," he said to himself. "Then it will be really special. There will be no other card like it."
Four. At school. Before you read. 1. What is your favorite subject at school? 2. Does your school have a lot of rules? Reading passage 1. This passage is about trying hard to do well at school. Alice was a clever girl. She was also rather lazy. When she was at primary school, she did not work very hard. She knew she could get good marks without really trying. However, when she went to secondary school, things were very different. The school had an excellent reputation. Parents whose children went there knew that they would receive the best education available. The rules of the school were very strict. Students were punished for being late for lessons. They were also punished if they did not pay attention in class or if they forgot to do their homework. Alice did all these things at her old school, but not at her new school. She started putting more effort into her schoolwork. As a result, she enjoyed it more. Her favorite subject was history because she liked learning about the past. She also enjoyed science because she was interested in how things work. At the end of the first year, she passed all her exams, but her marks were not as high as she had hoped. The following year, she worked even harder. By doing more revision before the exams, she managed to get much better marks.
Reading passage 2. This passage is about the lessons I like and hate at school. Today is Wednesday, my least favorite day at school. The first lesson is maths, which I find difficult. We are learning about fractions at the moment. Fortunately, we have a good teacher. He is very patient with pupils who do not understand. Next, we have a geography class. I like geography better than maths. But this year, we are studying Africa, and I find it rather boring. Last year, we learned about Australia, which was more interesting. After lunch, we have PE. This is the worst part of the whole day. I am bad at all team games. Most of all, I hate the gym with its climbing bars, ropes, and other equipment. Thursday is a much better day at school. We have a long English lesson in the morning, which I like. In the afternoon, we have an art class. I love painting and drawing. After that, we have a study period. This is a time when we work on our own in the school library. Tomorrow, I will use the time to finish my history project. I have to hand it in before the end of the week.
Five. Relationships. Before you read. 1. Do you have any friends from different countries? 2. Do the people in your town or city have a good relationship? Reading passage 1. This passage is about the relationship between people from different countries. I live in a multicultural city. There are people of many different nationalities living here. When you walk along the street, you see people with dark skin and pale skin. Some of them have moved here from Africa, Europe, and North America. There are also people from other parts of East Asia. In some big cities, there's trouble between groups of people from different countries. That does not happen in our city. We have a good relationship and live together in harmony. I go to an international school in the city. Some of the students are Chinese, like me. The others come from at least 20 other countries. I have a friend called Peter, who is English. His father works in a bank, and his mother teaches at our school. They have only lived here for 3 years. I have another friend called Dev. His family moved here from India 30 years ago. My third foreign friend comes from Ghana in Africa. His name is Kofi, and his father is a diplomat. Kofi is only 12 years old, but he has already lived in 4 different countries.
Reading passage 2. This passage is about having a good relationship with others. You should always try to have a good relationship with the people around you. Be nice to them and help them if they are in trouble. This doesn't just involve being kind to your friends and family. It also includes people who work with you or live near you. They might have different ways of thinking or behaving. This doesn't mean that they are wrong and you are right. If everyone had the same ideas, the world would be a very boring place to live in. There may be times when someone does something that upsets or annoys you. If this happens, it is best to discuss the matter in a friendly way. Do not have an argument about it. For example, if your neighbors play loud music that you don't like, what should you do? Should you ask them politely to play it more quietly? Or should you tell them angrily to stop playing it altogether? The first course of action is much better than the second. Your neighbors have the right to do what they want in their own home, as long as it doesn't bother other people.
Six. Your future. Before you read. 1. Could you work harder at school? 2. Do you think you will get married one day? Reading passage 1. The passage is about a boy's plans for the future. Jack is only 12 years old, but he has a clear mental picture of his future life. He is a clever boy and works hard at school. His plan is to become a doctor. He knows that he must pass all his exams with good marks. When he leaves school, he will go to university and study medicine. It is a long and difficult course, but he is confident that he will succeed. While he is at university, he will meet a nice young woman of his own age who will become his girlfriend. When he has a medical degree, he will find a job and a place to live. He will marry his girlfriend when they are about 30 years old. They will start a family a few years later. Jack cannot predict whether the baby will be a boy or a girl. He doesn't mind, as long as it is a happy, healthy child. Jack and his wife will bring up their son or daughter to do as they did. They will tell the child to work hard at school in order to have a good future.
Reading passage 2. This passage is about finding out what will happen in the future. Would you like to know what will happen to you in the future? Some of my friends think they would. Some think they can find out using astrology or other methods. Astrologers study the position of the stars and planets at the time when you were born. They use this information to tell you what type of person you are. They also tell you what might happen to you in the months and years to come. Palmists are people who look at the lines on your hand and tell you if you will have long life and good luck. Others predict the future from the pattern formed by the tea leaves at the bottom of a cup.